Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast, rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
That's right, we're breaking the Temporal Directive again to bring you episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks. And we are joined, of course, by our special guest host, Grant, who made it back after missing our last catch-up.
Yes, sorry about that. Had a bit of a collapsed lung and couldn't talk much about it. So,
hopefully you're feeling much better today.
yes, I ended up in hospital on my birthday, but still a bit of pain. Got 8 weeks of pain to go, but apparently
But good painkillers?
no, I can't take them. That's why I have assistance dogs.
Right.
Fair
okay.
But just
So lots of puppy love.
yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. Lots of complaining and whinging and
Excellent.
eating KFC.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, the dogs are probably happy about the KFC too.
They love the nugs.
You know, I think I had a collapsed lung when I was a very little kid, if I remember the stories correctly. Mum and Dad tell. I don't remember a thing about it, but I don't imagine it being pleasant.
I didn't care enough about you then. I don't care that much about you now. That's why we do a podcast together every week.
It's just so you can say I put in time with my brother, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just so I can stay in the wheel, Mum and Dad's wheel.
Christmas must be interesting at your house.
Oh, don't even start about Christmas.
That's a whole nother podcast. That is.
Yeah.
So, happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Big 41.
Yeah, right.
Very exciting. All right, let's get into a couple of episodes of Lower Decks this time. The first one we're going to talk about is Of Gods and Angles, written by Aaron Burdett, directed by Brandon Williams. The IMDb synopsis reads, the Cerritos hosts peace talks between warring civilizations.
It's like a tongue twister, isn't it?
It is, actually. I mean, it reads okay. Trying to say it is much more difficult.
The Cerritos hosts peace talks.
Yes. Yep.
I like it.
Anyway. All right, let's get into the episode, shall we?
Alrighty.
We open on the Cerritos in a nebula with some fantastic music that reminded me of the old motion pictures. And we have a first officer's log, and it says that they've been hosting the peace treaty negotiation between the cubes and the orbs, which are energy beings that have been at war for over a century. While he's talking, we see inside the ship, and the cubes and the orbs are floating around among the crew on board the Cerritos. There's a cube and an orb that bump into each other and then start insulting each other.
So good.
Yeah.
Is this a reference, do you think, to the TNG episode where you had the snake reptilians and their enemy was like the carnivore sort of thing? And
They had to move the reptilians to another floor. I remember that.
they ate one of the ambassadors.
Yeah.
Well, it's very next gen anyway, because I think they had a few times where they had warring parties or disagreements.
Even in the original series, I think it's a very common thread throughout Star Trek.
Yeah.
Entirely, really, is
Well,
one group of people.
Not so much in DS9 and Voyager, but
True.
or Enterprise, because not yet. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
We haven't seen it.
But it seems. Yeah, I'm sure you know. But that seems to be a thing in Star Trek, isn't it? Someone with two people with very different, but not very different, with little differences between them are warring against each other, like the original series with the left on the right. One side's black, one side's white, but that's it. That's all it is. You're white on the left, not on the right. Therefore, I don't like you.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is kind of the same, I guess. They're two just energy beings, but
Yeah.
just different, slightly different shapes.
Different
one's
shapes.
an orb, one's a cube.
That's it. That's all it is.
All right, so we cut to Commander Ransom, who's finishing his log in the cargo bay, and behind him we can see someone stacking a bunch of stuff onto a floating sled thing. She's got those ancient Greek headpiece, like leafy headpiece things on, and she's tying up, I think she says, 100 circular items onto a single furniture sled. And she said she's rigged it so that it will hold, and then she slaps it and everything falls off.
Yeah.
She said it would hold a neutron star.
Yeah, exactly. And no, it won't hold anything. So, and then when that disaster happens, we cut to the credits, which we usually skip.
Yeah, I usually do.
Me too.
And we come back to Captain Freeman and Mariner walking down the corridor, and the captain is talking about the negotiations being quite difficult. Ransom comes out of the door and says that he can't handle the new ensign, that she doesn't obey orders, she's reckless. And Mariner says, how do I not know this cool person? And then grabs the pad off Captain Freeman. Captain Freeman says that Ensign Ollie has just transferred from the Reseda due to some sort of fire and problems with their superior officers. And so they talk about her for a second. And Mariner says that crew is all reformed Marquis and they're nasty, so she must have done something real bad.
Yeah.
So interesting there that they've got reformed Marquis running a whole
Yeah,
ship.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give them a whole ship and see what happens. Like, come on.
Yeah. I wonder if some of them are Voyager crew.
Well, you'd think that you still wouldn't have an entire ship filled with them, would you?
With ex Marquis.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
didn't there after? Oh no, this is before Dominion War, isn't it?
No, after Dominion War. This is
Yeah.
Voyager's back.
Didn't we absorb
Naomi
Marquis
Wildman.
into the Federation, the Dominion?
Yeah.
So,
So they say that Ensign Ollie is a demigod, descended from Zeus. And there's a joke in there about Kirk kicking their asses and sending them back to be one with the wind, which is from that Who Mourns for Adonis episode of the original series, which is very funny. Good callback. The captain wants the ensign off the ship. Mariner makes a plea to give her another chance and says that she will help her to become a better officer. And Ransom actually agrees and says, like, sometimes people just need a chance. So the captain agrees, provides the stakes. Doesn't happen, you're out. And just as she says that she agrees to it, the ensign comes banging through the corridor with an out-of-control sled, crashing, making a mess everywhere.
Yeah, chance starts now, right?
Yeah, start now. Or maybe now. We cut to Boimler. His beard has grown a little bit more,
Yeah.
and he's reading the Alt Universe pad on his bunk bed. And Rutherford comes in, and he talks to Boimler about him being obsessed with the Alt Universe pad.
Yeah.
And Boimler's kind of disappointed that it's not a secret.
Yeah.
He thought he'd been hiding it really well.
Yeah, I love this moment because he's like, it's a little bit thicker than the ones we've got, and then he's like, it's red. It is red.
Yeah.
It's a completely different color. But I love the little figures on the wall.
Boimler's action
Yeah, all
figures.
his action figures,
Yeah.
but he's got the DS9 one.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got DS9 sitting on the shelf in the background, a model of the space station.
so I'm starting to think that this red pad of Boyne's is what
Yeah,
is
causing the rifts.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had the same.
interesting.
I had a similar thought. I thought because he hasn't put that through, it's holding up all these cracks and stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought
Okay.
too. I had exactly
Very
the same. As
interesting.
soon as you started saying it, I started smiling. I'm like,
there
yeah,
you
you
go.
had the same thought.
Well, the conversation that they're having is about how Boimler is obsessed with the pad and that he's trying to emulate the more cool version of himself from the alternate universe. And the pad says that during this mission in the other universe, Boimler and Dr. Tiana became buddies and that she gave Boimler a nickname, which was Flip. And so Boimler for this episode is like, it is my mission to become friends with Dr. Tiana for her to give me a nickname and to be invited to book club. That's his mission. We cut to Mariner on one of the bunk beds that they used to have when they were ensigns. And she's talking about that Ensign Ollie was supposed to meet her there and that she's late. And Talin approaches and asks what she's doing here, thinking that she's being nostalgic or something. And they talk about Ensign Ollie as she approaches. And she has like an anti-grav tractor beamy kind of thing that she wants to use to stop having to manually stack things. And she thinks she's fixed it, but then it glitches and it sort of zaps out of her a little bit. And yeah, it gets destroyed.
Took long enough for someone to remake that. I mean, Wesley Crusher made one of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mariner takes Ensign Ollie off on an assignment. So they walk down a corridor talking about what the job is, which is basically to take care of one of the diplomats' kids, which is not a little kid, but one of the kids. They arrive at the door. There's no answer. Mariner overrides the lock and enters the room, and it is trashed. But there is a glowing energy mess on the wall, which looks like a big blood stain or something.
It does, doesn't
like,
it? It looks
if
like
you're a cube, it looks like a cubey shaped because there's lots of lines there. It's a big blood stain. That's what it looks
Pixelated
like.
blood stain.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
That's what it
For
looks
now.
like. And we come back from commercial, and Captain Freeman and the security officer Shax is there. And Shax is scanning the residue and says that it's a photonic energy residue. And Mariner says, you don't have to be Dixon Hill to know something sus happened here. Which I think is the second Dixon Hill reference this season, right?
Yep. They had
Excellent.
the Games machines or something.
Yeah, something like that
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Starbase 80.
Yeah.
I think there was an actual reference as well, though. I'm sure. So I think Dixon Hill has been popping up a bit in this season, right? I'm hoping they visit the holodeck and they're doing a Dixon Hill episode.
Or
I'm
Dixon Hill comes through a rift.
yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be nice.
Anyway, the ensign is confident and loud about the cube being murdered. They can't find him anywhere on the ship, so they're suspecting foul play. They say he spent most of his time in the room vid chatting, but the device, the computer, is not there. So Ensign Ollie offers Mariner and herself to do like an investigation, but very low key, quiet investigation to not damage the negotiations. We cut to sickbay. Tendi is in there with Dr. Tiana, and they're talking about the blood they're collecting. I think she says something about we only need Ferengi and then we'll have a whole rainbow.
yeah, that's it.
It's filled full of a rainbow of diseases.
Yeah. Boimler and Rutherford enter, and the Doctor is just like immediately annoyed at Boimler.
Yeah, instantly, right? It's such a good character.
Yeah, I love Dr. Tiana.
Yeah.
Boimler has a bunch of books and keeps saying the word flip to try to
Yeah.
embed that word.
I'll flip through the pages.
Yeah. And it's just really fucking irritating her.
Yeah.
She's just not getting on board.
I just like that she's a very typical, just loses patience for.
Oh, yeah.
Wants to get her shit done and get on with it.
Yeah. I like how much she swears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
me
it.
too.
She could be Australian. She swears that much.
Yeah, yeah.
Tasmanian.
Then Boimler tries to do an actual flip and crashes into a trolley full of hypo sprays, which half of them land on him and inject him, and he falls unconscious while trying to say he's okay. We cut to Mariner and Ollie entering a gym, and the orbs and the cubes are working out, complaining about each other. And they are scanning, and they go through into another room, and they go into the change rooms, and there's an orb in there who says, "Don't look at me, I'm not glowing," as he wraps a towel around himself. Mariner says, "Is that like being naked for you?" And he says yes and runs away.
So weird.
It's so funny.
I'd love to be in the production room when these guys are writing.
It'd be so much fun, wouldn't it? Be a great group of people.
Mariner asks Ollie what it's like to be a demigod and mentions the leafy headband thing. Ollie says it's actually called a laurel and it doesn't come off.
Yeah.
And she says that she doesn't have any magic powers. While they're talking, Ollie also finds a pad in the naked orb's stuff. and it's anti-cube propaganda. So she's like, done. Clearly it was this guy.
Had to have been.
Yeah.
So they go off to try to find this orb. We cut to the security office, and now they're questioning the orb. Ollie is doing like the bad cop routine and yelling, and there's a big light shining into the orb guy. And he says that he was humiliated when they saw him dull, and they bribe him with some energy and start talking about the cubes being a bit weird. And he says that they are weird looking, but I support the end of the hostilities. But Ollie goes nuts, loses her shit, saying that we saw your anti-cube rant, you're a murderer.
Yeah, goes off her tree.
Yeah. Mariner tells her to calm down. The orb says that he was planning on publicly destroying the propaganda in a show of solidarity. She starts yelling again, and Mariner like pulls her out of the room to talk, and the orb escapes.
Yeah, goes out the door.
Yeah. And Mariner and Ollie chase after the orb. And then we cut back to Boimler in the sick bay, waking up after his hypo-spraying incident. And Rutherford and Tendi are still there. And Boimler is saying he stuffed up the flip. Tendi asks if this has something to do with the alternate universe pad he's always reading. And again, he's annoyed that it's not a secret.
And Tendi again talks about how thick it is instead of
the colour.
It has the wider bevel.
And he says that he's been trying to get invited to Dr. Tiana's book club. And Tendi says, just be yourself, kind of like Rutherford did earlier. Like, just be yourself. And then he says that he's got a voicemail on the alternate universe pad from the alt universe doctor left for the alt universe Boimler. And it's basically just full of bleeped out curse words.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I talk to you when we're not recording.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And Boimler thinks I need to speak to her like that because that's how she speaks to relate to her. I need
that's
to
her
speak
language.
like that. Yeah. So he walks over to Dr. Tiana, and most of what he says is bleeped out.
Yeah. He's like,
But she's like, what did you say? What did you fucking say to me? And then he says, I said beep.
well, you've got a beep
I've got a
button.
beeper.
Yeah.
He says, and then she loses her shit and attacks him, basically.
Yeah, starts scratching him and so
Scratching him, body slamming him, throwing him around the room, like beats the shit out of him. It's the best.
It was so
It's so
good.
funny. I fucking love that doctor.
Yeah, that's what Beverly Crusher should have been.
We cut to the orb running down the hallway with Mariner and Ollie behind him, and they run straight into the negotiation room. Yeah. The orb says that he's being accused of murder, and we discover that there's also an orb person missing.
Yeah.
And that they went missing at the same time. And the orbs and the cubes are arguing with each other, and tensions build pretty rapidly, and they start shooting at each other.
I've got to say, first, I don't know if we've noticed it in this episode, but it's the first episode where we see crew wearing a hijab and a turban.
Yeah.
And they're in yellow uniforms as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
We come back from commercial, and there's an external shot of the Cerritos with orange and blue lights flashing through the windows where the orbs and cubes are shooting at each other. And we cut to there's a few different shots of corridors or engineering in different places on the ship where the orbs are just flying around shooting at each other, and the crew are running away and trying to stay safe. Mariner and Ollie run into a room, and Ollie says that we need to go and help. Mariner says, you'll do anything to stop me finding that computer, won't you? And they're in a locker room. They open Ollie's locker, and the computer is in there. And she admits that she got to the quarters early because she thought that's where they were supposed to meet. And she saw that there was a crime scene and that the computer was melted. And she knew that someone would assume that she was the one that was responsible for that because of her powers. So she took the melted computer, hid it, and then went to Mariner, which is why she was late in the first place. So it seems like all of the problems that she's been having on the ship and the other ships and all previous things are because of these electrical powers she has that she's been trying to hide.
Mm. Great power. A limp lightning bolt
Yeah, I was
there.
about to say
Yeah.
she suffers from lightning bolt dysfunction.
There's little blue tablets for that.
I was
eh?
going to took the words out of my mouth.
We cut to a shuttle bay with the orbs and the cubes fighting, and it's getting pretty serious. Mariner says it's her chance. It's Ensign Ollie's chance. She needs to use her powers to stop the fighting. So she zaps them all, and the orbs and the cubes leave and make one giant cube and one giant orb to fight outside the ship. In that fight, some of those lightning bolts have come shooting out of Ensign Ollie. One of them ends up in Boimler's butt. So he's down for the count.
Yeah.
It's not a dysfunctional lightning bolt.
No,
either.
it's a
No.
it's a firm lightning bolt. External to the ship now is a giant orb and a giant cube, and the Cerritos in the middle while they're shooting at each other. But yeah.
Very unimaginative.
Oh my god, it's a bigger road. It's a bigger cube. They don't have much imagination.
We cut to the bridge. Mariner and Ollie run onto the bridge, and Captain Freeman wants to kick them off, but Ollie knows how to help. She says she knows how to help. She can engineer the tractor beam to sap the energy from the beings, which will also charge the shields at the same time and save the Cerritos. So they do that, and then the giant versions of the orb and the cube start to collapse and turn back into their individuals and are attracted back into the shuttle bay. But now they're all a bit less glowy, and the orbs still want to destroy the cubes and vice versa. And the orbs say, I'm just going to bounce on you.
So are they on their version of their underwear?
Yes, right. They
I
have to
guess
be like
they're all
mostly naked, right?
yeah. Yeah, so they're fighting. Mariner and everyone shows up, and then the missing shape appears, or the two missing shapes appear, and say that they're in love with each other, and they knew they'd be rejected from their families and their people, so they've been on the holodeck basically having sex the whole time, and now they have a baby.
Yeah, that's it. We've been getting chicky with it.
Yeah, and it's a little hybrid shape, and that brings peace to the negotiations.
Now, what did they call him? Because I love the name. And I forgot what it was, but when they said it.
Squaron? Squaron.
Yeah, Square Aaron.
Square
Square
Aaron.
Aaron. That was it, Square Aaron. I was like, it's so cute.
Harry doesn't know what to do with the poo.
Yeah, the triangle. A triangle drops out of him and he freaks out.
But they also make some mention of the
Yeah.
supposed crime scene was not a crime scene.
just left
Full bukkake scene.
yeah, just left a mess in the room.
Yeah.
And he's
So
like,
Ransom's like,
Yeah.
clean up after yourself.
yeah.
And they say something like, well, leaving
Yeah.
a mess is part of our kink.
Yeah. She's like, I thought it was, I touched that. It's so wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
pretty weird.
bad. Oh.
We cut to Dr. Tiana doing surgery, getting that lightning bolt out of Boimler's butt. And there's a whole crowd around watching. And she says that she's can get some cred for this procedure, that it's going to be
Legendary.
be good for her.
Yeah.
So she calls Boimler a fucko and invites him to the book club. And so they're friends now.
Yeah.
And Rutherford says that being yourself is clearly the wrong advice, and you should try to be like someone better.
Yeah, that's it.
And that was the moral of today's episode.
Apparently so. And Tendy says, no, that's not the lesson to take from this.
Yeah.
And we cut to the ready room, and they're allowing Ensign Ollie to stay. She's being assigned to engineering, but she does have to spend the night in the brig. So Ollie is in the brig. Mariner's there. She says that she's nothing like Mariner, and she says, I love being in the brig. It's my favorite place on the ship. And Mariner's like, yeah, nothing like me at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And yeah, they sit there and get to know each other a bit better as we cut to the credits, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, now that we've talked through it, what do you think?
I like that one. I like even when the orbs and the squares were firing at one another, you could see all the angles of the damage that they were causing from their firing at one another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that the detail that they put into it was quite funny. And
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like all the little references. Like throughout this episode, there was just little things that they did throughout that I was giggling at that were just little references to stuff that I liked.
Yeah.
It was great. It was just a fun one, really fun and stupidly fun, and I liked that.
It felt like a next gen bottle episode, right?
Yeah.
It was absolutely a next gen bottle episode.
Yeah, it felt like it should have been like a season 1 next gen episode.
It did,
like,
didn't it? It was good.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, cool. And I loved Dr. Tiana in this episode. That we got to spend some time with her because I just love it when she's there. And all we hear the whole time.
Which is great. Do they actually block it? Do you know if they block it out on the Blu-rays and stuff? Do they actually bleep it
Don't know.
or not?
I think it's a part of the comedy, the bleeping.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure whether they actually did or not.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think it's like South Park.
Yeah, because
I think the bleeps are on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I know
South Park was censored. But
Yeah, it was censored. And you
I
get,
don't think this is censored.
Yeah, because there are a few shows like that that are, once you get them on Blu-ray, they don't have the actual
Yeah.
bleeping. Yeah,
Sure.
right. Okay.
I'd like to see Jet Reno and the Doctor have a drink together.
All right. Life lesson for this episode?
Don't be yourself, be someone else.
Yeah, that's it. Be an alternate version of yourself from a red universe. A universe with red pads.
I'm not sure if that's the life lesson we want to record.
Swear more at people. That's
Do you think maybe the opposite? When we're talking about Ensign Ollie, admitting who she was and what she can do saved the day. So tapping into your authentic self.
Oh, I will slap you.
To be genuine and present.
I will do it. I will jump across the table.
Tom doesn't like. Well, it's not techno babble. What, emotion babble?
Yeah.
Yep. Inspiration.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. It's inspirational babble. That's the one.
Yep.
But I think that's the life lesson here. Is the Ollie stuff. Like, be yourself.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
With her ending up in the brig, I think like my lesson would be, even if you fail, just keep trying.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Pretty much.
Yep.
Just be yourself and keep moving forward and be honest.
End up in the brig.
Yeah. Well.
If it happens, it happens. At least you're true to yourself.
Exactly.
That's it. At least it was only one night.
All right. That's that episode then.
Cool.
All right. Let's talk about episode 7. This episode is called Fully Dilated. It is written by Andrew Muth. Sorry, Andrew. Directed by Megan Lloyd. And the IMDb synopsis reads, "It's a pre-warp society undercover girls trip." All right, let's get into this episode, shall we? We open on the Cerritos coming out of warp and a captain's log saying that they've been sent to fix another alternate universe fissure. Apparently an alternate universe Purple Enterprise has crossed into our reality while battling clones of Tasha Yar. I couldn't think of anything worse
I know.
than clones of Tasha Yar.
Yeah. As soon as
One is more than enough.
Yeah. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, if fucking Tasha Yar comes onto this episode, I'm turning it off. It's going off.
I was expecting it.
Yeah.
Like, is there going to be a touch?
Yeah, that's what I was like too. I'm like, it's the second I see Tasha Yar, I'm done with the show. I'm just
And was it going to be human Tash or Romulan Tash?
yeah, that's it. Oh, so many variables.
We cut to the bridge. Ransom says we're getting good at fixing these because it's the third one that we've had this week. Tendi and Celine are at the science station together, and Captain Freeman says it's probably time that she makes a decision on who should be the senior science officer on the bridge. And it's going to be one of those two. Boimler picks up a Starfleet power signature on a nearby planet, and clearly the Purple D, as Ransom called it, has left something on the planet. Captain Freeman says that the lieutenants can do the undercover mission to recover it because the senior staff don't want to miss out on Taquitos night.
Yeah, that wasn't that good.
Yeah.
I really like Mariner's response here too. It's great where she's like, oh yeah, it sounds fun. We can do that. And then she's like, taquito night. Hang on.
We skip the credits, and we're in sick bay. Dr. Tiana is back this week. Yay! And she's doing some cosmetic surgery on Tendi, Marina, and Lynn for the undercover mission, and complaining about it.
Hating it.
Saying that she didn't go to medical school to help people get into costumes, basically. Which is totally valid, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the first time we actually see the technology being used to do it, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need it to be animated to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's no way you could see it like that in any other way.
We cut to Rutherford and Boimler in the transporter room waiting for them, and they've got these giant cocktail drinks
Yeah,
with like
prawns hanging off.
prawns
sticks.
and sticks
Yeah.
of different food and fruit and all sorts. Anyway, it's
Little
a mess.
badgies.
Little badgies.
Baby badgies.
It's a huge, ridiculous, over the top beverage.
Yeah.
with a lot of stuff sticking out of it. And we also see Boimler's beard is getting a little thicker. Rutherford's starting to grow one, so clearly he's been influenced by this alternate universe pad. And then the girls come into the room to go on their mission, and they talk about the drinks and that it's something that the alternate universe versions of them would drink. And then Boimler's kind of explaining that there's a time differential on the planet. So if every second they are off the Cerritos, it will be a week for them on the planet. And I think it's Tendi that makes a reference here to Voyager.
Yeah. So they're not actually going to miss Taquito night, right?
No,
No,
because it'll be back in a second.
In like
Yeah.
a second or two. So
Well, it was only supposed to be a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Because they're expecting to go back like that night.
Yeah.
When they're on the planet later, they say they're back at the rocks.
Yeah.
And they're like, hasn't that flashed yet? Because it was supposed to be a second.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you know,
Yeah.
taquitos for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, thanks for ruining the magic. Boimler says they've disguised a return beacon into this necklace, and when it starts to flash that they need to hide from the locals so they don't see them being beamed up. Boimler says you'll only be gone for like a second, so he's not jealous about not going on this mission. As they start to beam, he spills his drink on the console, which knocks over Rutherford's drink as well, and they both smash all over the console, and it sparks, and it's messy, and they scream like little girls. We cut to the planet, and the girls have materialized in looks like Vulcan, doesn't it, with all the rock formations
Yeah.
and stuff. But you can see that there's a city in the distance, and Mariner says that the signal that they're looking for is about 2 kilometers north. And they talk about how the whatever crashed must have been there for years and years and years already.
True.
Yeah.
And maybe it wouldn't be found anyway because it probably would have been by now,
Yeah. Exactly.
which is not wrong.
No.
But they have to find it anyway. That's their mission.
Yeah.
So they travel through the city. This little lurker guy shows up and asks if they want to buy some tickets for some show using their only 2 globbers. And she says, "Oh, all out of globbers." He says, "All out of globbers." He's very suspicious and he starts to follow them. He's a lurker. But they get through the city. They're now in like the woods or something, and they find a big crater, and they discover the remains of a crashed shuttlecraft from the alt universe Purple Enterprise.
Yeah.
And underneath some of the wreckage is Data's head.
Yeah. A purple day.
Very much a purple Data's head. Very much like Times Arrow and San Francisco in the 19th century, which
Yeah.
Data references later on.
Yeah. At this point, I'm getting very, very excited.
Yes,
Yes,
you
me
do
too.
love
Yeah.
a Brent Spiner, don't you?
I do.
You're a Spiner femme. So they find Alt Data's head under the wreckage, and the suspicious lurker guy has followed them out there. And Delin grabs some rocks and juggles to try to say, "Oh, we're performers," just try to distract him a little bit. And then he leaves, and Tendy's obviously feeling very inadequate in her role, especially with the promotion lingering. One of them's going to be picked.
Yeah.
So they get back to where they beamed in, expecting to beam out, but something must have happened. So they decide to go to one of the abandoned houses they saw for some shelter.
Blaming that stupid pad of Boimler's.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is being distracted by the pad.
We cut to Boimler and Rutherford panicking.
Still screaming. The
Screaming.
same scream.
Yeah. Boimler rips his shirt off to try to use it to mop up all the drink. But the controls are fucked. He's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just as it cuts away, Rutherford takes off his shirt to help mop up all the juice. Then we cut to the planet. The subtitle says it's been 4 months since the arrival. They've set up their abandoned cabin. Mariner is bored shitless. She's lying on the floor, legs up on the couch. Tendi has been collecting plants. And Mariner talks about how she's been wasting this time. She should use it like Picard's probe time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the inner light.
Play the flute.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn the flute, live a whole life
In a few seconds.
in a few seconds. Which makes sense, but they still age.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So if they're there for their whole life and they beam back up when they're 80, they're not suddenly going to be young again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. Like you would actually be living your life.
Yes, that's right. So it doesn't quite work, but anyway, that's what she wants to do.
Yeah. But Tendy's very happy about all the progress she's made with her plants and stuff at this point as well.
Very.
Yeah.
And then T'Lyn comes in and she's built a windmill and she's made flour. And Mariner goes to leave, but the suspicious guy, the lurker, is just outside the door and she shoos him away and says, "Why is there always a suspicious lurker when you're in a Carbon Creek situation?"
Yeah, I like that one.
Call back to Enterprise. Then we cut to later that night. Tendi is trying to generate some power and it works and she wakes up the data head. And Tendi wants to ask Data a lot of science questions.
Yeah. Because she's feeling very, very inadequate. compared
Very
to,
inadequate, yeah.
Like building windmills and all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff. It's just like really sort of pissed off and jealous, isn't she?
Yeah. So she thinks generating some power and getting Data to help teach her some things will help. But when that happens, we also see a lurker out on a tree outside the
In the middle
window.
of a store.
In the middle of a store.
Snell sitting out there.
Yeah. Sitting on the branch.
And then we fade to the next morning, and Tendi has filled Data in on the situation. So he's aware of the possible promotion and her anxieties and all those sorts of things, and that she really wants that science job. And he says that he will help her study.
Yeah. It's just so good having Brent Spiner back.
It hasn't been that long since Picard season 3.
I don't care. I still just
He's got a Brent Riction.
We cut to Mariner in a bar, and she tries to chat up this guy, but accidentally pokes him in the eye with her cosmetic horn thing, and she's thrown into jail pretty quickly.
like instantly. This woman assaulted me.
Yeah. Done. She's in jail. Then we cut to Boimler and Rutherford, who are now madly in the transporter room, just trying to clean off this console with their uniforms. So it's not getting absorbed. The uniforms are not absorbing the material. So they're like, maybe we need to start licking it off. So they start licking the console, and of course getting like shocks from it. And then we cut back to the house on the planet. It says it's now been 7 months since the arrival. And we see Data's head, and he says that he's experiencing a power surge. There's a knock on the door. T'Lyn is going to the market to sell some fruit that she's grown.
Giant fruit.
Giant fruit. It's huge.
It's massive. She's like, this is... You go and sell your melons, and she's like, this is a grape.
Yeah. Yeah. And she looks outside the window, and she can see that the whole yard is just filled with these giant fruit and vegetables.
Which makes her feel so bad.
Yeah, she feels even more inadequate
Yeah.
now. But the Data head tries to tell Tendi that she shouldn't compare herself to T'Lyn. Vulcans are just different. They have different sleep requirements. She has more time. But all Tendi hears from that is that she needs to stop sleeping and study more. We cut to in town, and T'Lyn is wheeling in her big trolley full of giant fruits and vegetables. And Mariner is finally getting released out of prison after 2 months. And the lurker is still lurking around. Mariner wants to prove herself, and she sees a fire in town, and she grabs one of the giant grapes and uses it, like explodes it over the fire to put it out. But that fire was actually the symbol of the eternal flame used to ward off the bad spirits. So instead of being the hero that she thinks she's going to be, she goes straight back into jail. We cut back to Boimler and Rutherford madly licking the console and getting shocked.
So bad.
Yeah, it's really disgusting. And we cut back to the house.
Yeah.
And it's now been 10 months since arrival, so 3 months since the last cut.
The house is looking good too.
Yep, they've fixed it up. Looks good.
Yeah.
Good yard. Windmill.
Yeah, lots of greenhouses in the back.
Yeah, beautiful. In the attic, Tendi is slumped over the desk and snoring with the data head. And he wakes her up and she's fucking manic because she's trying to build like a transporter or something, I think she says.
Yeah.
And this is where Data references the Times Arrow thing being stuck in the 19th century in San Francisco. And she talks about needing some supplies. He says maybe you should just get more sleep instead. I'm like, well, why the fuck did you wake her up then?
Well, that's a good point.
Just the scene opened with you waking her up.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do that. Anyway, we cut to town, and Tendy's in town looking for the supplies that she needs for her transporter, and she's got the data head in a bag, which even he says, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, shouldn't have done that.
But she finds Talin in town, and now she has a kiosk. It's not just a little stand, it's a whole little shop now. And she's developed a beauty product from the skin of the giant grapes, which has improved everyone's confidence without breaking the Prime Directive and made them rich in the process.
Yeah.
So now they all the aliens look fantastic. They've got gorgeous hair.
Yeah, everything's going great.
Yeah, everything's wonderful.
Tendi just feels like shit.
Still feels like shit, getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
We cut to Boimler and Rutherford. They finally stop licking and the transporter is back up and running. Still a mess. But they need to send the signal to let them know that they're going to get transported up. They can't just beam them straight up. So they send the signal and we see Talin in her kiosk and the necklace starts flashing. And then we cut to Tendi and Data back in the attic. She's like manically paranoid at this point.
Yeah.
And she thinks that even Data wants Talin to get the job. We see that the lurker is up in the ceiling. Yeah, sitting in one of the rafters.
What's his name?
Snell. And he's watching her talk to this head. She turns off the power supply, puts the sheet over the table, and sort of collapses asleep on a chair. And Talin enters and says that she needs to wake up. They've received the return signal and we need to prepare for transport. And just then the lurker jumps down and says, well, maybe you should just join her. And knocks Talin unconscious. So they're both now unconscious. We cut to that evening. Tendi and Talin are tied up together now and the lurker is calling them witches. And he leaves them to go and get the angry mob. I just think it's great.
Creepy lurking has paid off.
Yeah, everyone will know.
I just like the idea that there's an angry mob waiting to be like
to be
summoned.
railed up. Yeah, that's it.
I'm just going to go get the angry mob that already exists. But Tendi and Talin can have a moment here to talk. And Tendi says that she's been trying to outscience Talin. And Talin says that she didn't know that we were in competition. She said that she did notice that Tendi withdrew, but was trying to create science things to bring them back together.
Yeah.
And Tendi says that she hopes that the captain picks Talin for the bridge job. Oh.
Yeah.
But then Talin says that she plans on withdrawing her application, and they share some stories and challenges and stuff about, what they've both been working on and why they feel the way they feel. And they turn Data back on, and they ask him to chew through the ropes.
Which he's not programmed for.
No, but he
is fully functional.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I was going to say. He says, I have seen Worf do this. And then she says, you are fully functional. I'm like, wow. So Talin here, so she's in several episodes, she's like purposely trying to get closer to each individual.
Yeah.
So like there's been several, like every other character, she's spent time in each episode trying to purposely get close to them.
Suspicious of her.
Not suspicious. It's just, it just seems odd that she's like sort of going out of her way to put a lot of time into each individual.
Well, I'm still spinning out how Badgie in the second episode was
With
behind
her.
her when in the spacecraft, with the shuttlecraft, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's,
Something going on?
yeah, Badgie's done something to her.
Yeah, like it does seem odd, right? I just feel like she's... I don't know whether there's anything to it. It just seems odd that she's spent so much time on each individual trying to get closer to them.
Isn't that what they do in these sorts of shows? Pair characters together to see what works?
Yes, but she's like they've made reference to the point that she's actually been trying to
Yeah.
form a bond with
When did they
each
say
individual.
that?
Second episode.
Yeah, and Rutherford, she done it with Rutherford as well with the shuttlecraft,
Okay,
and she's
sure.
done it with she's just done it throughout like these season.
I'm not buying it, but sure.
Not saying anything's going to come from it. It could just be a Vulcan story about trying to become friends or whatever. But it's just an odd thing, especially with the Badgie being in that episode. The Badgie was not hidden.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
All right, we cut to Mariner in jail. She's trying to play a flute made of soap.
Soap flute.
She's made some friends with the other prisoners, and she gets released from jail. And because Talin can exchange beauty products for her
that's it.
release.
You now got powerful, rich friends. So
Yeah,
you
that's
can
right.
go.
And the warden's got hair so healthy it shines.
Yeah. So the girls walk out of the prison. The angry mob and the lurker come over, and he says that they've got a talking head in the bag. And then they pull out a giant grape that has a face painted on it. And then they all make fun of him and saying that it was dark and, you know, maybe you saw things, like whatever.
Yeah.
And the angry mob becomes a let's just laugh at the lurker kind of mob. You're lurking too much, buddy.
Yeah, that's it. We all know you lurk around.
Yeah.
Time for a holiday. Get a job now.
So the girls head off, and Data's head is actually tied to them with the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they head out to the beam out spot, and the lurker is still following them.
And we see the lurker get closer and closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as he reaches the top of the hill, they get beamed out. So he finally gets to look up there, and they're not there anymore.
Right, go on.
So they've arrived on the ship, and they're angry, like, what the fuck happened? And the boys are standing there shirtless with orange goo all over them and the console. And they were like, oh, it was an LCAR system issue.
Yeah, technical glitch.
Yeah, it was funny. We cut to the captain's ready room, and Data's head is on the table. And the captain says that while the rift is still open, they can send him back for the Purple Enterprise to pick up. And Data wants to make a suggestion about the science officer job
If I
because he
could-
spent a year in the field with both of those officers.
If I can say something, he does make mention to the colour of the ships in that universe. as
Yes.
well. What's the colour of your Enterprise? Just a neutral grey?
Yeah.
That seems like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, when purple is an option.
Yeah, it's funny. And we cut to the mess hall with the Core 4 and Talin, and they come in and basically say they both got the promotion, that they'll be working together because Data recognise that they are better as a team. They play off each other.
Yeah,
So everyone's really excited about that.
it's a good solution.
They talk about Boimler and Rutherford owing them for the transporter fuck up. And then Mariner decides to play her flute badly.
Yeah, very badly.
But while she's playing the flute and they're laughing and joking, we see Data's head being put into a torpedo and shot into the rift, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So, now that we've talked about it, what did you think?
I love that episode.
Yeah, I like it's got Brent Spiner Data. It's not going to be bad. No, it was a good episode. It was well done. I really like when they do things like the time dilation stuff like that, and they get to have a good proper adventure on a planet, and they get to immerse themselves in an environment like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. The purple D joke was funny.
Yeah.
And then they talked about the huge melons. And when they were talking about the Purple Enterprise, they wondered if the carpet matched the hull.
Yeah, like, that was good too.
Like, some really kind of like serious innuendos in this
Yeah,
episode.
it was. It was great.
But I thought seeing Tendi go through that sort of character arc of like the paranoia and the stress and the anxiety and all that stuff was really, really interesting storytelling for her.
But
Yeah.
to me, I thought that was a little bit out of character for Tendi as well, though, because she's usually the all-loving and caring. And I mean, she did say that it was probably her Orion stint that done it, but
Yeah.
I couldn't see her being jealous like that with one of her friends or anything like that before this episode. But
Yeah, I suppose that's right. Although you're probably right with that, but I suppose it went from a little bit of a jealousy and whatever, anxiety, and then she stopped sleeping.
rage.
So
Yeah.
once you stop sleeping, your emotions and everything tend to
Yep.
just go nuts.
Yeah. Life lesson in this one?
I guess it's probably the same thing. It's the jealousy one's probably a good one. You know,
Yeah.
like, you know, be happy where you are and who you are. And
Well, I think it goes in classic Star Trek style that the whole is more than singular. So
Yeah.
I think they showed that, you know, they're better off as a crew working together, like we should be doing in real life, instead of competing all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So there's no I in team and don't get jealous.
yeah,
Yep. And sleep
Brilliant.
well.
yeah,
Yes.
get good rest.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Any final thoughts on these two episodes, gents?
Yeah, this was just a very gentle episode. I feel that we'll probably have more to come with the next couple of...
We've got 3 episodes left, right? 3 episodes and then it's done. That's it forever.
Yeah.
Full Lower
Unfortunately.
Decks intensement.
We'll leave it there. So thank you, Grant, for coming in and
Thank you for
joining us
having
for
me
this
again.
Lower Deck special. And we'll be back with our normal episode on Friday. In the meantime, you can find us on Facebook at Temporal Directive Podcast and on Instagram at Temporal Directive. Or you can send us an email at wakefield_productions@outlook.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these episodes or anything Trek related. So please send in your comments and or questions or theories or tell us that we're wrong about something. Either way, we'd love to hear from you. So we'll see you soon. Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.
Right.